Hi, I'm Alex Uhas with FemTechNet.
I'm Liz Lash.
And we are having a conversation, continuing a conversation about discipline. And, we stood there very formally and said one thing, and now we're going to sit here informally and say something else. So what is your concern about what we just said in our first definition?
So I think it's great to talk about interdisciplinarity and kind of radically changing the university, but we also have an obligation to people who are younger scholars who are coming up, feminist scholars, and they need those disciplinary identities
to get a job.
To get a job,
to
right.
publish somewhere under the name of some structure that is recognizable.
Right.
Yeah.
We want them to have like some sort of viable outlet, and I think that's really hard to actually have to kind of say, well, you really have to pick a discipline. Yeah. Like you really have to pick like what professional association are you going to belong to, and are you going to kind of commit to as being your home community?
I know that personally because I was trained in the discipline cinema studies. I never even worked on cinema. I mean, my initial work was on video. Now I work in the digital space. But my disciplinary home is the place where people understand my references without any of that extra work. And it is often a retreat. I speak to many other communities and many other audiences who are situated in other disciplines, but when I'm in cinema studies, there's a kind of fresh, it's like because I know that they've studied the same things I have.
Yeah.
And it allows for a different kind of talking.
And I think there's something, I'm a rhetorician, and so I come out of literary studies, but I also, there's a funny sense in which sort of saying I'm a rhetorician, you're both kind of marking yourself as part of a relatively new discipline in the academy and the oldest discipline in the academy. Like if you go back to Socrates and Plato and those guys. And so it's I think one of the things about rhetoric is because a lot of the people do have literary training, but they believe in the kind of politics and of communication and the embodiment of communication, that you kind of get to move across disciplines while still having that home discipline in a way that wouldn't otherwise be possible.
And there's another way that I think there's a kind of knee-jerk understanding that we want to run away from discipline in the punishment sense, in the Foucauldian sense. And one of the things that I've thought a lot about recently in my own work is that for collaborative and feminist structures to work, you actually need some forms of discipline. It's not about a kind of letting go of all structure, letting go of all authority. And a lot of internet studies also wants to think of the internet as a place that it has this kind of freedom of constraint. And I think that discipline with responsibility, with commitment, with shared values is actually a wonderful thing and a feminist goal of mine.
Yeah, that's part of why I felt guilty about being late today, is because I actually feel like schedules matter, and like keeping appointments matters. Like there's a certain degree to which that kind of thing actually counts, that you can't like time shift everything, that you can't distance everything.
And that gets us back to what it means to be, in a shared space together. And that's a kind of disciplining of our bodies to get here.
Yeah.
So we're going to say goodbye. We hope we will continue the conversation, make us a video that follows about the keyword
mentorship.
Thanks.